Have you ever stopped to think about what is behind every movement of your body? When you walk in the park, play with your grandchildren, or climb those stairs with a lightness that seems to come from within, you feel something that goes beyond simple movement. Each step, each gesture is supported by a structure that we often ignore until the moment it begins to fail. The reality is that the human body is not immune to time, and one of the parts that is most affected as we age are our bones. When we reach 60 years of age, what seemed to be a given, the strength and resistance of our body begins to weaken. And the worst part of this, many people don't even realize that something is happening. Bone density loss, a condition known as osteoporosis, affects a large portion of the population over the age of 60. What makes this condition even more dangerous is the fact that in many cases, it does not present any obvious symptoms until it is quite advanced. Over time, bones lose their density, becoming more fragile and susceptible to fractures. This means that at any time, a simple trip or a seemingly harmless fall can result in serious consequences, such as bone fractures that take months or even years to fully heal. Now, imagine that as you read these words, your body may be going through this silent process. You are aware of it, but you don't yet know what is happening. And the real concern is not just about falls or fractures. Bone fragility can affect your quality of life in much more profound ways. Tasks affect your mobility, your independence, and, in many cases, can lead to serious complications that go beyond physical pain. It is not just a risk, it is an invisible challenge that begins far beyond what the eyes can see. Osteoporosis can be compared to a silent thief, stealing your body's strength and health without you even realizing it. And the worst part is that, if not treated properly, this condition can evolve in a frightening way. It's only when you find yourself in a situation where the fragility of your bones becomes impossible to ignore that you realize how serious the situation really is. What many people don't know is that bone density loss doesn't have to be a sentence of pain and limitations for the rest of your life. There are ways to combat this before it's too late. Therefore, it is crucial that you pay attention to your body's signals, seek medical advice, and undergo the necessary tests. Because while you are busy living, your bones may be weakening without you realizing it. What you don't know about osteoporosis can be much more dangerous than you imagine. Don't put off until tomorrow what you can take care of today. Time is the greatest enemy of bone health, and it doesn't wait. Bone density loss, also known as osteoporosis, is a condition in which bones become weaker and more prone to fracture. Normally, bones are dense and strong, providing support and protection for the body. As we age, the natural process of bone remodeling, where the body constantly breaks down and rebuilds bones, starts to slow down. When bone rebuilding doesn't keep up with the destruction, bones become thinner and more fragile. This progressive weakening is what characterizes osteoporosis. Over time, bone mineral density decreases, which means that the bone loses its natural strength. Although this condition mainly affects people over the age of 60, it can occur at younger ages, depending on factors such as genetics, lifestyle, and diet. However, osteoporosis is more prevalent in postmenopausal women due to the drop in estrogen levels, which accelerates bone loss. Men can also suffer from this condition, but to a lesser extent. The point is that most of the time, osteoporosis is silent. That is, it does not cause pain or visible symptoms until the damage is more advanced. This weakening of the bones can occur without you even realizing it, and the impact is devastating. Imagine that, with the loss of bone density, the risk of fractures increases considerably. Falls that would otherwise be minor, such as a slip while going down a flight of stairs or a trip while walking, can result in serious fractures. The condition is not only about the fragility of the bones, but also about the loss of mobility and quality of life. Simple movements become a daily challenge, and dependence on others increases. Osteoporosis can drastically limit your freedom, affecting even basic daily tasks. Osteoporosis is often called the silent disease because symptoms do not appear until bone loss is significant. This means that many people do not know they have osteoporosis until they suffer a fracture. Pain only occurs when the bone breaks, but by that point, the damage has already been done. The most common fractures related to osteoporosis occur in the hips, spine, and wrists. However, any bone in the body can be affected, and if a fracture is already a serious consequence, imagine the impact of limited mobility that can occur after an episode. It's important to understand that osteoporosis is not a sentence of pain and loss of quality of life. There are ways to diagnose it early and effective strategies to slow its progression. Current treatments can include medications, dietary changes, calcium and vitamin D supplements, and physical exercise to help strengthen bones. What makes all of this even more concerning is the fact that osteoporosis is a condition that can be prevented or delayed if you take preventative measures. Therefore, it is essential that you understand what is at risk and know how to respond. What you don't do now could cost you your mobility, your independence, and your health. You've probably noticed that as we get older, everyday activities start to become more challenging. Simple tasks like climbing stairs, carrying groceries, or even playing with grandchildren that used to be effortless can now pose a risk of falling. When osteoporosis sets in, things can quickly get worse. The impact of this condition goes far beyond bone fractures. It affects your independence, your quality of life, and your ability to continue doing the things you love. One of the first consequences of bone density loss is decreased mobility. One of the most common problems is back pain caused by small fractures in the spine, which often go unnoticed but seriously affect posture and movement. Constant pain can make even the simplest task, such as getting up from a chair or walking short distances, unbearable. The fear of falling becomes a daily occurrence, creating a cycle of inactivity and increased fragility. The person begins to avoid physical activities, which in fact makes the situation even worse. When bones are weakened, the risk of fractures increases dramatically. A fall that would otherwise be harmless can result in serious fractures, such as those affecting the hip, wrists, or even the spine. Not only does this cause intense pain, but it can also require long recovery periods with complications that can compromise overall health. Recovering from a bone fracture in an elderly person is much longer and more difficult, and the risk of complications such as infections and respiratory problems increases. Often, after a fracture, the person requires intensive rehabilitation, which can result in a permanent loss of mobility or, in more severe cases, even complete dependence on caregivers. And it doesn't stop there. The impact of osteoporosis goes beyond the physical. The inability to perform simple, routine activities can profoundly affect emotional and psychological well-being. Feeling dependent on others, no longer being able to take care of oneself, or being unable to participate in activities that were once enjoyable can lead to feelings of frustration, sadness, and even depression. The loss of independence can affect self-esteem and create a vicious cycle of discouragement and inactivity, which further worsens a person's mental health. Additionally, osteoporosis can affect relationships and family dynamics. Many people are not prepared to deal with the challenges that osteoporosis poses, and family members often take on the role of caregiver, which can be emotionally draining. A person with osteoporosis may feel guilty about being dependent on others and no longer being able to perform the roles that once came naturally to them in their family life. This impacts not only their physical health, but also the quality of their relationships and social environment. The good news is that you don't have to wait for the worst to happen. There are ways to prevent osteoporosis from getting worse, and, in many cases, even reverse the damage caused by bone density loss. Adequate exercise, a diet rich in calcium and vitamin D, and regular checkups are all effective ways to manage osteoporosis. The key is to identify the condition before it irreversibly affects your life. Osteoporosis doesn't have to be a sentence of pain, limitations, and suffering, but choosing not to act can make it a reality. You have the power to change that future. And that's what makes prevention so crucial. Loss of bone density may seem like a distant problem to many, but when the first signs begin to appear, the consequences can be devastating. Osteoporosis is a condition that, if left untreated, will worsen over time, profoundly affecting the lives of those who suffer from it. What begins as a slight decrease in bone mass can quickly turn into a much more serious problem with long-term impacts on mobility, overall health, and even longevity. A broken bone due to osteoporosis can be a turning point. A simple trip, a fall while standing up, or even a sudden movement can result in a serious fracture, such as one of the hip, spine, or wrist. These fractures are not only painful, but often require surgical intervention and long recovery periods. The problem is that recovery from a fracture in people with osteoporosis is not as quick and easy. Bones, weakened by loss of density, have a reduced ability to heal, which makes recovery slower and more complicated. In many cases, a serious fracture, such as a hip fracture, can be a life-changing event for someone. Studies show that people with hip fractures have a significantly higher risk of serious complications and even death within the first year after the injury. Even when a person survives, they are often left permanently affected with severely impaired mobility. Loss of autonomy is one of the most difficult consequences for those with osteoporosis to deal with, as many people are no longer able to perform basic activities such as bathing themselves, walking without assistance, or even getting out of bed. Furthermore, bone density loss can cause cumulative damage. A person may begin to develop postural deformities, such as excessive curvature of the spine, which results in a hunched posture and constant back pain. This can lead to a series of physical and emotional limitations, as chronic pain and the inability to move freely directly affect quality of life. Depression and anxiety can arise as a consequence of this process, as a person begins to feel that their life has become a constant struggle against their body, rather than a full and independent life. The impact is not only physical and emotional, but also social and economic. Osteoporosis can lead to a significant reduction in social participation. Fearful of falling and getting hurt, many people end up isolating themselves, avoiding social and family activities. And this can lead to feelings of loneliness and isolation. In addition, the costs of treatment and rehabilitation can be high, both for the patient and for the family. Since recovery from serious fractures requires constant medical monitoring, physical therapy, and often home care. This financial and psychological impact extends to the family, who may have to take on the role of caregiver, which brings additional challenges. All of this shows how osteoporosis is not just a condition that affects the bones. It affects life as a whole. The long-term consequences go far beyond physical pain. They affect mobility, independence, emotional well-being, and even financial health. Therefore, it is essential that you do not ignore the signs and that you seek help before the most serious consequences begin to manifest. Preventing osteoporosis and its complications is possible, and the sooner you act, the better the quality of life you will be able to maintain. The decision to take care of your bone health is the key to a healthier and more independent future. Despite the profound impact osteoporosis can have on a person's life, the good news is that there are ways to combat, slow, and even reverse the damage caused by bone density loss. The first step in managing this condition is to understand that effective prevention and treatment starts early, long before the most severe symptoms appear. All the difference in your future. The solution is within your reach, and you don't have to wait until things get worse to take action. Osteoporosis treatment usually involves a combination of approaches, including lifestyle changes, medications, and regular checkups. One of the first things you can do to strengthen your bones is to improve your diet. A diet rich in calcium and vitamin D is essential for bone health. Calcium is an essential mineral for bone formation and maintenance, while vitamin D is crucial for the absorption of calcium. Foods such as milk, cheese, dark green leafy vegetables, and fatty fish such as salmon and sardines are excellent sources of these nutrients. Additionally, your doctor may recommend calcium and vitamin D supplements to ensure that you are getting adequate levels. But diet alone is not enough. Regular exercise also plays a crucial role in preventing osteoporosis. Weight-bearing exercises, such as walking, strength training, dancing, and even yoga, can help strengthen bones and improve bone density. Additionally, activities that improve balance, such as Tai Chi and physical therapy, can reduce the risk of falls and consequently fractures. Staying active not only benefits your bones, but also improves muscle strength, which is vital for preventing falls and increasing mobility. No matter your age, exercise can be tailored to suit your needs and abilities. Medications also play an important role in the treatment of osteoporosis, especially for those who already have significant bone density loss. There are several types of medications that can help slow bone loss, increase bone production, and reduce the risk of fractures. Some of these medications include bisphosphonates, which help strengthen bones, and hormone therapies, such as estrogen or raloxifene, which may be helpful for postmenopausal women. Your doctor will be the best guide in deciding which medication is right for you, taking into account your medical history and the severity of your bone loss. Additionally, regular checkups are essential to monitor bone health over time. A bone density test, called a bone densitometry, is the most effective way to assess bone mass and detect osteoporosis before fractures occur. If diagnosed early, the condition can be treated more effectively, preventing more serious complications. Therefore, do not ignore the importance of having these routine checkups, especially if you are over 60 or have a family history of osteoporosis. The solution to osteoporosis is in your hands. With the right combination of diet, exercise, medical monitoring, and, when necessary, medication, it is possible to control bone loss and prevent serious fractures. The key is to take control of your health as soon as possible so that you can continue to live an active, independent, and fulfilling life without being limited by bone fragility. Don't wait until it's too late to take action. The time to take care of your bones is now, and the solution is within your reach. Have you ever stopped to think about what could happen if you ignore your body's signals? Osteoporosis is a silent condition that gradually robs your bones of their strength, and with it, your independence. So don't wait until it's too late. Time is a silent enemy, and the consequences of bone density loss can be devastating, affecting not only your mobility, but your quality of life and even your freedom. The good news is that with simple and effective actions, you can change the course of this story. If you're over 60, it's crucial that you start taking care of your bones now. It doesn't matter if you're pain-free or still consider yourself active and independent. Osteoporosis may not have any visible symptoms, but it's happening to your body and can manifest itself suddenly with an unexpected fall or fracture. You can prevent this from happening by taking the right steps to protect your bone health, seeing a doctor, getting regular checkups, doing exercises that strengthen your bones, and improving your diet are the first steps to ensuring that you can continue to live an active life without limitations. If you haven't been diagnosed yet, take this opportunity to seek medical help before the damage becomes irreversible. A bone density test is simple, quick, and can save your life. Identifying osteoporosis early is key to preventing fractures and future complications. If you've already been diagnosed with osteoporosis, don't delay. With proper treatment, the disease can be controlled, and you can continue to live without fear of falls and fractures. Treatment is effective, and the results can be impressive. But to achieve this, it's essential that you don't put off taking care of yourself. Now, imagine what it would be like to continue living without worrying about falls, fractures, or loss of mobility. You deserve to live fully without the limitations imposed by osteoporosis. Don't let this silent condition rob you of your daily victories. Make the choice to act today. The solution is within your reach, and the future you want is within your control. You are not alone on this journey. There are resources, doctors, and treatments available to help you maintain the health of your bones and ensure that you have the best quality of life possible. The time to act is now. Don't ignore the signs. Don't wait another day. Start taking care of your bones today. Because your health and your freedom are the most precious things you have. Remember, it's not too late to take control of your health. Don't ignore it. The time to protect your bones is now.